Hello, and welcome to Into the Fog. We delve into the infinite horror of the entity's realm in search of new additions to the unofficial horror Hall of Fame. Across a handful of realities, a legacy of death is repeated, an incident, a chain family restaurant being the origin point of decades of agony and suffering at the hands of haunted mascots. One name being responsible for a monumental amount of tragedy and horror. Afton. In one timeline, his attempt to destroy the consequences of his actions leads to an ironic fate, being sealed for 30 years inside the costume he used for his killings. Trapped in that back room, a dark presence contacted him, offering him a way to once again continue his malicious deeds. Now haunting the trial grounds, the mascot enters the killer roster. The mascot's power is Fazbear Frights. At the start of the trial, 3 endoskeletons spawn in. Endoskeletons who see survivors chase them, and if they catch a survivor, grab them and take them to a nearby locker outside of 60 meters of a hooked survivor. Survivors in lockers can struggle to escape, similar to when carried by the killer. If they do, they rush exit the locker and are placed into the injured state. If an endoskeleton becomes stunned by a pallet, they deactivate momentarily, resetting their AI. Pressing the secondary power button while not using Phantom Trespasser, you highlight an endoskeleton and call them to your current location. Phantom Trespasser. Holding down the power button, you enter Phantom Trespasser, making you a phantom, leaving behind your suit motionless on the ground and becoming undetectable. Able to manifest your form through lockers, removing the suit from the trial and ending Phantom Trespasser. While a phantom, you move significantly faster, vault locations, breakable walls and survivors lose collision, and you are unable to perform basic attacks. Instead, you can activate Nightmare Mode. Pressing secondary power, you enter Nightmare Mode, returning to normal movement, collision, regaining the terror radius, now being able to perform jump scare for a short period of time. Afterwards, Nightmare Mode cannot be used until you reactivate Phantom Trespasser. Jump scare is a charged lunge attack, slowing the player down and causing them to scream, and emit a flaring terror radius during. Survivors hit by jump scare are immediately put into the dying state. Whenever Phantom Trespasser ends, this causes a 40-second cooldown. Survivors can see the suit's aura within 32 meters. If a survivor performs a 10-second uninterrupted interaction of a constant barrage of skill checks on the suit, you are pulled back, becoming stunned briefly, screaming in agony and ending Phantom Trespasser. Using knowledge of robotics, you exploit faults in the generators with your first perk, Hex Blackout. Damaging a generator, this hex lights on a dull totem if not already active, and the generator becomes cursed. While the totem stands, all cursed generators have a slowed repair speed of 10, 15, and 20% per cursed generator. Your second perk is Hidden Horrors. Searching a locker, this perk activates. Your terror radius is placed onto the locker and you become undetectable for 30, 45, and 60 seconds dependent on the perk's rarity. This perk ends instantly upon the locker being opened by a survivor, causing them to scream. You take pride in making malicious adaptations with your third perk, Scourge Hook, Joy of Creation. You start the trial with 1, 2, or 3 tokens, dependent on the perk's rarity. While carrying a survivor, a taint prompt appears separate from the hooking prompt. Interacting, you hook that survivor, make that hook a Scourge Hook until the survivor is removed, and spend 1 token. Survivors unhooked from Scourge Hooks suffer incapacitated for 20 seconds. With the entrance of Afton, the entity managed to get its claws into many agony-soaked objects, relating to the Freddy's franchise and Afton's own personal history, altering Afton's power with their mere presence. A separate timeline in which Afton's legacy was altered. An ex-victim of Afton's ends up being his downfall. Later down the same timeline, in her moments of death, fading in and out of consciousness, she awakes in a forest, a familiar location in the distance. Charlie Emily sets about trying her best in thwarting Afton like she has many times before. Charlie Emily comes with 3 unique perks. You tinker with spare parts, improving your understanding of your tools. With your first perk, Adaptive Tweaks. Upon depleting any item, gain a token. Each token increases item efficiency by 20, 25, and 30% dependent on the perk's rarity. Once per trial while holding an item, you can rummage and open chests for a duplicate of the item you're holding. Add-ons cannot be replicated this way. Charlie's second perk is Scourge Hook, Happiest Day. At the start of the trial, 4 random hooks are changed into Scourge Hooks. The aura of Scourge Hooks are revealed to you in white. Survivors on Scourge Hooks can rescue themselves. Doing so grants them a reduced requirement to be healed to healthy by 10, 20, and 30% depending on the perk's rarity, until they are next healed. Your will to live allows you to overpower the killer with your third and final perk, Defiance. While being carried, press the active ability button to wiggle 50% faster for 5 seconds. Afterwards, inflicting exhaustion for 100, 90, or 80 seconds, dependent on the perk's rarity. Breaking free from the killer's grasp by any means inflicts the killer with 10% hindered for 10 seconds. In yet another timeline, Afton attempted to make his creations into killing machines. His plot, however, was thwarted by a night security guard whose younger sister almost became one of Afton's own victims. Years later, returning to the old Freddy's location after dreaming of Afton still being alive. Entering the building, a veil of fog warps the room around him. Mike Schmidt, now in the Entity's realm, tries to protect who he can from a familiar but different horror of Fazbear's. Michael's first perk is Night Guard. While holding a flashlight and repairing a generator, this perk activates. You see the aura of survivors within 16 meters of any generators. If they are being chased by the killer, you see the killer's aura also. Completing a generator grants you 30, 40, and 50%, dependent on the perk's rarity, of any missing charges to your currently held item. You protect those close to you, putting their safety above your own, with your second perk, Big Brother. Whenever you heal a survivor, they leave no scratch marks or have their aura shown to the killer for 20, 25, and 30 seconds, or until they become injured. Generating a mental state of fortitude, you share its benefits with all nearby, with your third and final perk, Boon, Dreamcatcher. Press and hold the active ability button on a dull or hex totem to bless it and create a boon totem. Soft chimes ring out in a radius of 24 meters. All survivors benefit from the following effect when inside the boon totem radius. Survivors cannot suffer from the blindness or oblivious status effects. If a survivor is suffering these afflictions, the timer is paused and the effects negated. These effects linger for 3, 4, and 5 seconds, depending on the perk's rarity, after leaving the boon totem's radius. And with that, we conclude our visit into the fog this time. I do hope to see you when we return here soon. I have something super lined up, just for you. I'll be seeing you next time we delve into the fog. Farewell.